Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at Bitcoin. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so we're going to be focusing in on this move to the downside today, and we are looking for the two ideas that either this structure on the higher degree here is looking for something like this, where we are looking for evidence of a wave 2. Support zone is going to be between this 382 here and this 786. We have already come down to this 382, so potentially we could start to see a rally off this level. We would only get confirmation by a move up towards this 42,023 off of our current level. If we are looking to rally in this third wave, we would want to see nice, strong, clean, impulsive movement starting to develop to the upside here, if this is the case, with a lot of volume coming in to confirm this idea. Now, we also need to be careful because there is the possibility here that what we could have is a bigger WXY, where we're looking for this potential to come down towards this 0.618 to this 121 area. Now, if we do see this as a W, an X, and a Y, this 0.618 is going to be our minimum requirement, so we haven't hit that yet, so we need to be on the lookout that potentially we could still look for this structure to develop in three ways down here, where we could still look to come back down into these zones. Alternatively, if we want to say that this is a B wave high here, where we count this move into the high rather over here, what we would be saying is we need to be careful for the idea of a C wave down. Now, within a C wave down, what we'd be arguing is that potentially we could get 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 to the downside in this way. So because of this, we need to just be cautious, because we still do have a target area here of this 25,360 to this 23,646 as a potential target if we are looking at this as a C wave. Now, if we are going to say that we're breaking down in a C wave like this, the way that we would be looking at the structure currently would be looking at this as potentially a 5-wave move. Now, what we would then be saying is that this would be looking at an A wave or a wave 1, be looking for this as a B wave, and then looking for this as a C wave down. Now, if we're looking at this as 1, 2, however, what we'd be looking for then is this 1618, which would be towards this 25,691 off of where we currently are. So if we do see price starting to break down, where this becomes 1, 2, and we start to see a more violent breakdown from this point, effectively we could be looking for that third wave. If we see a smaller breakdown where this becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we push down towards this 27,442, this would align with the idea that this is just an ABC. So gonna have to keep an eye on this. You know, we as long as we stay below these highs, we have that possibility of a break to the downside. Now, the way that I would be looking at this, if we are going to look to break to the downside here, would be actually coming back in here, looking at this as 1 and 2 and another 1, 2. So effectively within here, we would have a series of 1s and 2s. There would be another one back here where this is 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, the reason I've got the white one plotted first here is because this is going to be the most important one. We need to hit this 1618 here of this 28,498. And the way that I'm currently looking at it is that if this is a wave 1 here, what we would be expecting is 3 waves to the upside, looking for a rejection, and then seeing a move to the downside. Now, the most common rejection area would be between this 29,648 to this 29,479. So we have actually come up here already. It is also possible that within this structure, this could be ABC, and we could see another move up here towards this 29,530 level before looking for this break to the downside. If we do see a rejection in this zone towards this 50%, this would then align with this idea that this could be 1, 2, and then we could be looking for a third wave. Now, third wave confirmation only comes by crossing this 28,823 level. If we do see something like this, where we get this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, what I'll be watching out for is the possibility of hitting this 28,498. If we hit this zone, then this would confirm the idea that this is 1, 2, 3, and we'd be looking for evidence that we're going to get a fourth wave up and then see that continuation to the downside in the fifth wave afterwards. So if we do get a move down like this, basically from further back here, this would all be wave 3, and then we'd get 4 and then 5 still to the downside. So this would be our bearish direct breakdown scenario, where we see price looking to just break down in this way. If, however, what we see here is just a 3-wave move where this becomes ABC and we push down to 29,076, this would actually align more with the idea that we have an incomplete correction here, and we could look to push up one more time. Now, there's another way we can also look at this move to break down, and that would be looking at this as a potential diagonal, saying that what we have within the structure here is that we have 3 waves down for 1, 3 waves up for 2, looking for this as A, B, and C to the downside here, before looking for a fourth and a fifth. Now, within this internal structure here, invalidation would be crossing this wave 2 and this would be looking at this 29,338. So if we do see a move to the upside that crosses this high here, effectively this would then make this idea less likely. It is still possible that we could have something like a bigger corrective structure here, but I would like to see a simple zigzag in the corrections of a diagonal like this. So what we'd be looking for here effectively would be forming a contracting descending wedge shape, looking for this to be a potential A wave or wave 1. Now if we do see something like this where we fail to take this wave too high, we see a push back up here, we break back down in 3 waves, we get 3 waves up, 3 waves down. What we'd then be looking for is the idea that we could see 3 waves back to the upside and then that continuation down. So it's going to be very important that if we do see something like this complete, what we would be looking for here is this shape, obviously, to be correct. Wave 3 cannot be longer than this 28,885. So if we cross that zone, it becomes more likely that this is actually just 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to be looking for a normal 5-wave pattern. If we do see just a 3-wave move down here, we get this as ABC, and we look to push down potentially towards this 2975. What we could then actually see is that this could be 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and then we'd look for that possibility of a B wave up or a wave 2, and then that continuation down. So it's going to be very important here that as long as we stay below these highs here of this 30,244, we could potentially be looking for this direct break to the downside. Now if we are looking at this rather in the other way we were discussing this, we're saying that there's a couple of ways we can count this corrective structure. So we do still have the potential that within this we could have this as W, X, Y, X, and then we're looking for a Z wave. So within that idea, effectively what we're saying here is that we have this X wave completed, and we're looking for the potential that we could see an ABC pattern down as a flat correction. Now if we are looking at that idea, what we'd be saying is that we have come up into this zone here, and now we're looking for 5 waves to the downside. So if we either form this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, then we get wave 2 up, we get 3, 4, and 5, and look to push down into the zone of this 28,580 to this 28,083 level. This would align with coming back down into this 1 to 1 to this 1, 2, 3, 6, which is sitting here between this level of this 28,392 to this 28,015. So if we start to see a 5-wave move down here, what we would then need to be on the lookout for is that this could actually then look to complete this as a Z wave here. And then we could look for that reversal if we're looking for that bullish count to the upside. Now, another way that we could look at this is that we are still within an X wave here, where effectively this whole move to the downside is a wave, this is a B wave, and we're looking for this as a Y wave or a C wave. Now, if we are looking at something like this, effectively what we'd be saying is our target area for a rejection would be between this 31,042 to this 30,119. If we are looking at this idea, the reason I don't like saying this is completed into this high, it's potentially possible, but what we could still see here is that instead of this being A, B, and C, what we could have is that this is W, this is X, and we get A, B, and C, and look to push up for a Y wave. So I'm still on the lookout for this idea of coming back up into the channel. 30,507 to this 30,424 would be that area that we'd be looking for within this idea of this still being a corrective move. We would say that this is potentially A, B, and then we still see that C wave up. Now, if we are looking at something like that, effectively what we'd be saying is that within the micro counts here, what we could have is that this whole move here could just be A, and then we're looking for this as a B wave. Now, if we are looking at this as a B wave, what I would be saying is the most likely way of looking at this count is that what we have here is this is an A, this is a B, looking for A, B, C. So if we fail to take this high here of this 29,737, what I'll then be looking for is the potential that we could see this play out as A, B, and C to the downside. Now, the one-to-one of this is W, X, and Y is actually looking to push us down towards this 28,885. If we see another 3-wave move down here, this would align with coming down into this 0.854, which would be sitting here at this 28,921. What we need to respect, however, here is the fact that the minimum requirement for this would actually be up here towards this 29,208, which would be bringing us just past this golden pocket and also bringing us back into some of this horizontal potential support, which we could find here. So gonna have to keep an eye on this idea that, if we do see price look to push down one more time here, we could look to move into this box. Now, it is also possible we could see something like this as A, B, and C, and then look to push down here. Going to be on the lookout for that. If we start forming this as 1 2 1 2, we could see 3 4 5 4 5, and this could just become A, B, C, and then we still look for that rejection down. There isn't really a clean way of counting this into this point here, unless we say that this move here is WX and this is A, B, and C. But I don't really like looking at it like that. It would make more sense to me that if this is a corrective move, it would be WX, and then we're looking for a Y wave down. If we do look to find support down here, what this could mean is that we could see price look to reverse back to the upside here, looking for this idea of this C wave, still looking to push us up towards this 30,852 level, and then that would be basically looking for this higher target here of bringing us back into this red target box. So going to be keeping an eye on this. If we do see this just develop as a corrective move to the upside, we could still look for interaction on this channel. We could still look for that push up. I do think it would be more likely though, if we are going to see something like this, that we're possibly going to see another push down here first and then look for that push to the upside. So I will be watching this move down here. If we fail to develop that idea of 1 2 3 4 5 and start failing to break below these lows here, we could still see this develop as a bigger corrective structure to the upside. Now, some alternate ways that we're discussing this was also saying that, because we've got this piece of structure here, what we could also have is that we have this is an A wave, this is A, B, and then if we see a C wave down like this, effectively what we could have is that this is an A, this becomes B, and then we see a C wave at a later point. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on this idea, because if we do get something like this, where this becomes A, this becomes B, and then either we get something like this diagonal, where this becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we look to potentially push down towards this 28,891 level as a 1-to-1 of the A wave. What we could then see is, that possibility we have a truncation here, and then we still look for that push to the upside where this is all A, this is all B, and we still look for that C wave. So there's many ways of counting this currently because of how choppy the structure is. So we're just going to be a little bit cautious of the, the different ideas that we have here, and what we need to see either validate them or invalidate them. Now, within the bullish case, which is still a potential here, what we're saying is that we could have this as ABC. Now, the reason why I'm starting to lose a little bit of faith within this bullish count is that we just haven't reacted to the upside like I was wanting to see here. And effectively within the bullish count, what we are saying is that we have a low in place here and we can't cross this 28,585. Now, if this is the case, what we'd want to see is that this becomes 1 2, and we're looking for this 1618 sitting at this 31,113. Now, the problem is internally within this move, it isn't great trying to count this as an impulse. We were talking about a few things. We were talking about the possibility that we could have this as 1 2, and then we're saying this was 1 2 3 4 5, and then we're saying, okay, if we look to find support at this 50%, potentially we could look for a fifth wave. Now, the only way of this actually making sense and looking at this as a fifth wave would be saying that we have this as a fifth wave over here, where this becomes 1 2 3 4 5. This is a truncated fifth, and we're looking at this as potentially an ABC pattern. Now, within this idea, breaking down past this low, which is now sitting at this 28,704, would invalidate the idea that this move can look to extend to the upside. Now, it is also possible within here. It's a slightly less clean count here, but we could also argue that within this structure, we have something like this is 1 2 3 4 and 5 as a diagonal pattern. Now, diagonals are not as reliable, so for that reason we need to be just aware that it's not as reliable as just having a nice clean 5-wave structure here. And effectively what we need to see for that to confirm that we're going to see a bullish move here is we'd be looking at this basically the same, that this could then be A, and then we'd be looking for this possibility of this B wave, looking to hold this 28,701, and then looking to rally in either a C wave up towards this level here of this 30,852, or alternatively, if we were looking for that bullish case, we'd want to say this is 1, this is 2, and we want to see this move up towards this 1618 level, which would be this 31,867. If we start to see impulsive structure forming to the upside here, in that way, what we could then have is that this becomes 1 2 here, this becomes 1 2 here, and then we see this is 3 4 and 5. Then we'd have an additional fourth and a fifth, and then we'd actually have a 5-wave structure off these lows. Now, if we do see something like that, where we see this as a bigger 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. What we need to see then is confirmation by having 3 waves back to the downside, looking to find support above this low, and then looking for that continuation up. So we're going to still track this. It is still technically possible for as long as we hold above this 28,701, but I'd like to see the structure starting to clean up a little bit because it is still very choppy in this area. Coming in here and having a look at the daily CPR lines, what we can see is that we are currently underneath our central CPR lines. Now this is giving us an initial bearish bias here because we have printed a lower CPR line. If we continue to reject off these levels, what we could see is price could get gravitated towards this S1 line, which is sitting towards this 29,268. An area to keep in mind is that we also do have this previous daily low sitting here towards this zone of this 29,321. Now, if we do look to push down, other targets for today would be this 29,086. We have this 28,852 and this 28,666 as potential downside targets. Now, that would align into the idea that this is 1, 2, and we're going to be looking for something like a 5-wave move down. If, however, we start to see price looking to regain these, other potential targets for today to the upside would be this 29,685, which would align with the idea of seeing something like a 3-wave move up here. If we see a break above this R1 line and this previous daily high that we have over here, other targets to the upside for today become this 29,921. We have this 30,098 and this 30,343 as potential upside targets. So if we do see price starting to break back above this R1 line, we do have that potential to see a bit of a rally here. Now, looking at the weekly pivots, what we can see is we're still currently above our weekly pivots. Now, if we do continue to hold these levels, what we could see is that we could find support here at this 29,314. We have this 29,239 and this 29,161. If we do look to find support here, we do have potential to then look to either come back up and retest this 29,895, or alternatively push up past these zones and target out this 30,700. 31,356 as other targets for this week. If, however, we start to lose these central lines, what we could then see is price could start to be gravitated to the downside, looking for this 28,430 level. Now, other targets to the downside for this week could be this 27,781 and this 26,966. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on these levels. If we do see price starting to fail to hold these CPR lines, need to be cautious of this idea of moving back to the downside here. Looking at this 28,426 as a possible target. Now, this would align with the idea that we could see something like a flat correction here, or alternatively, if we're looking to break down in that more direct move where this becomes 1, 2, we get 1, 2 here, we get 3, 4, 5. That would align with something like a move down into these levels. So we'll be watching out for that potential if we do see price starting to break to the downside. Now, coming over here and having a look at the monthly CPR lines, what we can see is we're currently below our central lines. These have printed higher, which is giving us an initial bullish bias, but we need to see whether price is going to confirm this. Now, if we do look to move back up here, we could potentially find resistance at this 29,594. We have this 29,960 and this 30,331 as potential resistance above us. If, however, we do look to break to the downside from this point and we start to see something like that 5-wave move playing out, what we could potentially see is the price come down towards this 28,125. Other targets are this 27,021, and we have this 25,184 as potential targets to the downside. Now, if we look to move to the upside here, potentially we could look to target out this 31,056 if we manage to break back above these central lines. Other targets to the upside for this month would be this 32,908 and this 33,998 zone. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on these. If price moves through the zones, we can look for it to potentially pivot at these levels. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description, you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out. It's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.